I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Madison Elementary School District Board to order. Would you please call the roll?
President Holcomb.
Here.
Vice President Gresham.
Here.
Member Kazi.
Here.
Member Spear.
Here.
Member Thompson.
Present.
All are present.
Thank you. I'd like to invite the scouts from Troop 127 to lead us in the pledge, if you wouldn't mind. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome to the meeting. Please, if everyone would please silence your cell phones for the meeting, please. That brings us to the adoption of the agenda. Does anyone on staff or the board have any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Ms. Kazi, seconded by Ms. Grissom. Please vote. I'll get your name right someday. Yeah. And that passes unanimously. Is there any member of the board or staff, is there any reason for an executive session? Seeing none, we will go on to communications and announcements. That brings us to presentations and recognitions. Dr. Guerin.
President Holcomb, members of the governing board, I'd like to introduce Ms. Anna Andrews to, we have one award recipient this evening.
Makes a difference. She works so she is also Jackie kind of teacher she her own skills. She's a true model of lifelong learning. As a member of the Right from the Beginning training team, as well as the Ruler team, she has had a huge impact throughout the campus over the last 4 years, especially related to our growth. In the classroom, Jackie's students are constantly engaged through a wide variety of strategies, and she firmly believes in the ability of each and every one of her students. She is active as a math tutor after school and is also a strong member of our PBIS team. Jackie is an incredibly hardworking teacher who is a great team member and is so passionate about what she does. She truly makes a difference in the lives of her students and absolutely deserves this award. She has built great relationships with staff across campus and is an integral part of Rose Lane. Jackie is an amazing person who deserves to be recognized for outstanding efforts and for making a difference at Rose Lane.
All right, I did not know I was giving a speech, but I would like to personally thank Audrey Fraser for nominating me. Thank you so much. Rose Devine, thank you for all you do, and all my friends for being here. Thank you.
Bring anybody with you?
I did bring a bunch of friends. Well, Audrey brought my friends for me, which was so kind of her. Richard, Audrey, Ben, Mike, Katie, Kaylala, Tony, and Kyle. Thank you for being here.
What a posse.
I know, right?
Next up, we have the introduction of some employees. Dr. Guerin.
President Holcomb, Vice President Gresham, governing board members, cabinet, and guests. At the last board meeting, we had 2 administrators approved by this board, and we would like to recognize them and have them come to the podium just to say a few words because we're so excited. Miss Rebecca Galindo, interim principal for Madison Park Middle School, has been just incredibly supportive during transitions this year, and we're so pleased that she's going to help us finish out the year. Ms. Galindo, if you would come up to the podium, we'd love to give you a round of applause.
All right. Well, thank you. May I say a few words?
Please.
Okay, because I wrote this. All right. Good evening, President Holcomb, Vice President Gresham, governing board members, Dr. Guerin, cabinet, and guests. Okay. I consider it a true honor and privilege to serve as interim principal at Madison Park Middle School for the remainder of the year. I have worked in this community for 18 years as a teacher and assistant principal. There is no place I would rather be at this stage of my career. The leadership experience prepared me to support stakeholders in various capacities, including two-way communication, professional training, and student management. In my new role, I am excited to foster campus ownership, collaboration, and building partnerships to support student academic progress. I will remain dedicated to building trust throughout our community. I am confident by working together, we will continue the amazing work started at the onset of the 2022-23 school year. Thank you.
Congratulations, Ms. Galindo. Next up, I'd like to invite Ms. Ashley Bowman, interim assistant principal for Madison Park Middle School. Ms. Bowman has served in many roles in the district, most recently teacher mentor, and we asked her to move over to Park for the rest of the year to help us, and she has, from day one, just jumped in. She knows so many of the teachers already, so we're very blessed to have her there. Congratulations, Ms. Bowman.
Good evening, President Holcomb, Vice President Gresham, Dr. Guerin, governing board members, cabinet, and guests. It's an honor and privilege to serve the Madison Park community in the role of interim assistant principal for the remainder of the 2022-2023 school year. I've been in this position for just a little over 2 weeks now, and the staff, students, teachers, and families have made me feel so welcomed and right at home. And although I already knew some of the ELA teachers and the new teachers at Park through my 4 years of instructional coaching, I'm really enjoying this new opportunity to work with the entire Park community and to get to know the school on a much deeper level and become familiar with all of the wonderful systems that they have in place to keep students safe, to promote academic achievement, and to promote the social emotional well-being of their students. A lot of people ask me how it's going, and I say it's going great. And they look a little surprised, but it's going great. And it really is in such a large part thanks to Miss Rebecca Galindo. Her leadership and her mentorship has been amazing. From day one, she's explained the reason behind every decision. She's taken me under her wing, and she's just made me feel so confident. So I just want to thank her as a strong leader for the school who just has such a passion for the Park community. I want to thank a few members of my family who are in attendance tonight. My father, Kim, drove all the way from Cave Creek, and my son, Parker, who is a former Park student himself, and my mom, who's watching the live stream in South Carolina. So once again, thank you so much for placing your trust in me. I'm honored to serve in this capacity.
And I think we all want to thank you for stepping in. And those interim positions, that is a difficult thing, but I'm glad you're enjoying it, and we do hope you survive. Next up, we have the superintendent's report. Dr. Guerin.
Good evening, President Holcomb, Vice President Gresham, members of the board, cabinet, and guests. Thank you to Miss Mansfield and the Camelview Choir for an inspiring and beautiful performance filled with words of kindness, hope, and empowerment. Really was a great way to lead in to spring break. This week is National Social Workers Week, so if you know a social worker, my sister happens to be one, make sure you call and thank them. I've been at several schools this week, and every time I see social workers, they're helping teachers, they're helping students, they're helping families, and this position has never been more critical over these past few years coming out of the pandemic. So thank you to our social workers. You are valued. We truly appreciate everything you do every day. I would also like to update the community on a few administrative changes in Madison. Madison is a family filled with talented educators. It is no surprise when we promote leaders from within our district. Pending governing board approval tonight, Hillary O'Brien will now serve the district as for next year as our Social Emotional Academic Learning Coordinator, or SEAL Coordinator. She will move to district office from Camelview Elementary, where she has served as the principal for 9 years. I know she will be missed at Camelview, but she will not be far, and it's exciting to see her take her leadership district-wide. In addition, long-term Madison Heights principal Priscilla Gossett will transfer from Heights to become principal at Madison Park Middle School. Ms. Gossett will open the new school building, leading the talented park staff to launch an enhanced STEAM program supported by the new innovative school facility. Ms. Maggie Rodriguez decided to stay at home with her new baby which opened the park position. We congratulate Ms. Rodriguez and will certainly miss her. Congratulations to Miss Rose Devine. I know I saw her there a minute ago. Principal of Rose Lane Elementary School, who's retiring after 22 years in education. We certainly celebrate her dedication to public education and her service to the Rose Lane community, and are excited she's staying in Madison, just in a little bit more of part-time, temporary when we need her roles. So you will still see her. Mr. Johnny Brownlee will return to Madison to lead Madison No. 1 Middle School. Mr. Brownlee has 12 years of experience as a principal. He built a successful Mandarin immersion program at Whispering Wind Academy and the Paradise Valley School District, and worked hand in hand to create the middle school feeder immersion program. Mr. Brownlee began his career as a teacher at Madison Simus. It is with great excitement that we welcome this experienced administrator home to Madison. Community forums to select the next principals of Madison Rose Lane and Madison Heights are this week. Tomorrow, Rose Lane is at the Rose Lane, I believe, in the cafeteria. Wednesday, 4:30 to 5:30. We're hoping the community can come in person, but we will also live stream it, and there will be an opportunity to provide input in person or by live stream through the internet. On Thursday, we will focus on Madison Heights Community Forum, again, 4:30 to 5:30, again, in person and live stream. Those two, all of the process that we've had so far will lead to recommendations to the board to follow right after spring break. Madison Camelview is currently posted, and we will work hand in hand with the community to select their next leader. Moving on, check out the Madison Education Foundation webpage. I know I'm excited for these two events. Night at the Museum is on Friday, April 14th at Madison Center for the Arts. It's a free event. Watch art masterpieces come to life, experience an art lesson, create art yourself, watch Night at the Museum free, food trucks, what more could you want? And then also you can join us at the Madison 80s Gala on April 29th. It's the foundation's biggest fundraiser, so find your jelly shoes, get out your crimping curling iron, and dance the night away to 80s music. If you're interested in either of these events, you can go to the foundation webpage at madisoneducationfoundation.org for more information. That's all I have tonight.
That's a great plenty. Well, thank you. That brings us up to the governing board member reports. Ms. Kazi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just two items. I've had back-to-back opportunities to listen to choirs, first at Madison Simus yesterday, and I thank Principal Webb for all of her understanding for the performance that I think maybe you and Lindsay were not aware of. So thank you for going with the flow. So appreciative. And then the performance today by Camel View. So kind of amazing. Back to back. Lovely. I don't have anything else to report. Thank you.
Very good. Ms. Spear.
Thank you. I just wanted to offer my congratulations and also my gratitude to Ms. Galindo and Ms. Bowman for taking on the role at Madison Park. I've known actually Ms. Galindo for a very long time, and I'm excited to get to know you, Ms. Bowman, and just congratulations and thank you very much. And also congratulations to Ms. DePaula for her award. And I also wanted to let everyone know that we all actually had an opportunity to go to PTO luncheon once a quarter. We invite the leaders of the PTO organizations at each of our schools to come to the district office and have a roundtable of sorts so that we can share best ideas, and also they can share with us what's going well and what might not be. So I just wanted to let everyone know that it went well and we all had a chance to be there, which was great. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gresham.
Good evening. Just a few things. Yes, we've had a lot of events lately. It's been awesome. It's the most fun part of being a board member. We've had the PTO lunch, school visits, the Rams opening day, so many things. And I'm definitely looking forward to the events for the foundation coming up. And congratulations to all our new administrators. I also want to thank everyone for all their patience and their trust with all these changes and all this movement around. So just thank you, and yeah. And I also, not done yet. Miss Bowman and I were spelling bee. We were served on the spelling bee, so we're spelling bee buddies, and I think that was at Rose Lane or something. So, and thank you to Camel View for coming. I also just want to point out that even though Camel View is technically our STEAM school, they still have a choir. You get all the other things. So I know a lot of families worry about which school to choose and which program to do, but really at all our schools you really have a choice of, you still get arts at the STEAM school and et cetera. So you get everything at every school. So that's what's really great about Madison. So okay, now I'm done. Thank you.
You sure? Oh, okay. Okay, and I am not skipping Ms. Thompson. She has laryngitis, so she's teller to my pen. Any event. I just want to report, the Rams opening day was phenomenal. That is a partnership that goes back over 60 years of providing sports to the members of the community. Also, I had the opportunity to attend the free Phoenix Symphony concert on Sunday, which was a phenomenal event. They had over 700 people come there, and a lot of kids, some of which high schoolers and real young kids. Some of the high schoolers were there not of their own free will. They apparently had an assignment, but they seemed to enjoy it a great deal nonetheless. And we have a show coming up, the All Things Equal, about the notorious RBG, and that is a sold-out show. Those things, I'm just highlighting those because one of our goals is to have the Madison not only serve the schools and serve for major shows, but it's really to serve the community. And it's great to see that really coming to fruition. And I hope the community also reaches out and participates in the shows that the foundation is, or the events that the foundation is putting on. And with that, I think that covers everything I have. Oh, I did want to go on what you want. STEAM, the arts are very important to the Madison School District. As you pointed out, there's arts at all the schools. That's why we have the A. And when we don't have STEM schools, we have STEAM schools, because Earth without art is just eh. So, in any event, that ends our governing board reports. That brings us to the consent agenda. Are there any members of staff or the board have changes to the consent agenda? Do we need to pull anything off for discussion or separate vote? Not seeing that, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second?
It's moved by Ms. Spear, second by Ms. Gresham. Please vote. The internet's a wonderful thing when it works. Are we, you've got your hands up. All 5 were ayes. Okay. Okay. All 5 voted? So you're telling me it passed. It passed unanimously. Okay. That brings us up to the board policies first read. Dr. Guerin.
President Holcomb, Vice President Gresham, governing board members, cabinet, and guests. I'm very excited that we only have one policy to bring to you in this batch of policies. Policy 6.1. Ms. Marshall, would you help us with the first read?
Thank you. President Holcomb, members of the board, and members of cabinet, this policy is actually, the changes that are reflected are actually catching up to procedures with the state that have changed. Madison has actually been following these procedures for over a year with those changes to the state. One such being what they've coined a bid process, best interest determination, so that if there is a child in foster care, the district, along with the state, would come together to determine the best interests of the child for the schooling and for other needs. So this policy does require that we have somebody named in the district that would be the point of contact for those bid meetings. As I said, we've had this in place for the last year and a half, and we've been coordinating this through our Student Services Department, which helps oversee the social workers and counselors for the campuses. So this point of contact has been our SEAL coordinator, and will continue to coordinate this out of Student Services. So the changes look lengthy, but it's a lot of wordplay, again, just to be in alignment with changes that the state has made to ensure supports for students in foster care.
Ms. Spear.
Thank you so much, Ms. Marshall. Just out of curiosity, is there an opportunity for the foster parent or family that is taking care of the foster student at that time to be part of the conversation, or does the law mandate it is just a conversation between the school and the state?
It depends on the situation, Member Spear and governing board members. There are some students who are not yet placed, and so in that case, it would be the state that's acting for the child. Some are placed in a foster home, and some are placed with foster parents. So it's case-by-case situation.
Thank you.
Ms. Kazi.
I'm just out of curiosity, does the SEAL coordinator, in addition to managing obviously a host of other issues in this, they also handle McKinney-Vento, I assume? Is that correct?
That is correct, and governing board members, you'll remember several years ago we were required to name a point of contact for unaccompanied youth, and we coordinated that through McKinney-Vento, and so our SEAL coordinator is serving as our McKinney-Vento liaison for the district as well.
Thank you.
I do have just a quick question. There are quite a number of word changes, but if I understood you correctly, this basically is not changing our policy or what happens on the ground. We're just bringing that into alignment. Is that correct?
That is correct. These procedures were put in place for last school year, and it appears that the Arizona School Boards Association is catching up with the changes that have been made at the state level and have updated policies for the school districts.
And are all these changes statute driven?
Some are statute driven, but most of it is changes in how the Department of Child Safety is working.
Right. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Right. Ms. Spear.
One of the things that I remember when I was just a parent watching these board meetings is I would get frustrated when I didn't understand what was being talked about necessarily. McKinney-Vento is something that I don't know if everybody is really familiar with. Ms. Marshall, would you just quickly explain, high level what McKinney-Vento is so that our scouts here in the audience and everybody else has an understanding of what that is?
The McKinney-Vento Act is federal legislation, and it helps support students who become homeless during the school year. And the key is just allowing those students to maintain the stability of the schooling that they were in. It's not always feasible that they can continue depending on distance, but similar to this best interest determination. Wherever the family may wind up, the two districts come together to coordinate what would be the best for the child, for the family. Some families are homeless for a short period of time. Some it's a lengthier period of time due to different circumstances. And so again, just trying to support children in continuing and maintaining their education. One less thing to have a child have to worry about when school can be a very safe place for them and a sense of comfort for a child.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That brings us down to the call to the public. Do we have any calls to the public?
We do not have any calls to the public.
That brings us down to the information items and a presentation on instructional coach updates. Dr. Gary.
President Holcomb, members of the board, cabinet, and guests, our instructional coaches are absolutely key supports for our teachers. And so tonight, Dr. Wilson is going to help with maybe a guest or two to help see what the instructional coaches do to support our teachers in the classroom and elevate instruction. So thank you, Dr. Wilson.
Yes. Good evening, President Holcomb, Vice President Gresham, members of the board, Superintendent Guerin, cabinet, and esteemed guests. Thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about our instructional coaches, provide an update this evening. And I do have Ashley Bowman here. She's working her coaching part tonight, although of course she's serving as an assistant principal. So thank you, Ashley, for being here. And some of our instructional coaches are here as well. So our objectives for the presentation tonight, we'll do an introduction of the team, provide an overview of the program, talk about what models we're using right now, what research-based models since we've come out of COVID. We'll talk about our Madison teacher induction program, what that looks like, and then we'll provide some impact of coaching where we're at just currently today. So first and foremost, nobody told me I was going to get the A-team, the absolute A-team, and that they like to have fun. So I've never worn a reindeer costume before, and I own one now. And it is a little warm, but it's fun to wear, especially at Christmas. So part of our team is here and part of our team isn't, because I'll just go down the list because they had other conflicts. Many of them are related to work. So you know Ashley, obviously, but Nikki Paul couldn't be here tonight. She gives her regards. She's our math instructional coach for the district. And Andrea Mateen you met at our last meeting for the literacy update. Courtney Loya is here. So Courtney, do you mind standing? She's our science instructional coach. And Dr. John Renard, who's Santa Claus in this picture, also couldn't be here this evening. He's our district athletic director and social studies coach, and he has athletics tonight. So he gives his regards and says he's sorry he can't be here. Nancy Leone also couldn't be here this evening. She's our Spanish immersion instructional coach, but Adam is here this evening. Adam, do you mind standing? Adam joined us halfway through the year as a result of the great fortune of us having our partnership with the K-12 New Teacher Center. So so we're thrilled to have Adam. Thank you. And Jane is here as well. Jane Scott, and many of you may recognize Jane. Jane is not only our EL coordinator, but she also has longevity, some of the greatest longevity in service in the Madison School District. So as I said, the A-team for sure. And one of the great blessings is that with our relationship with the K-12 Center, we might have the possibility, we've submitted a grant, and we have the possibility of potentially having 4 more dedicated site coaches this coming year, similar to what Adam is providing now. So we're hopeful with that. So here's an overview of our coaching program as we've come out of COVID into this school year. We had 75 new employees attend the Madison Teacher Orientation this fall, and that's including all the new employee groups. So that's certified like counselors, social workers will also come to orientation on those days that are on the calendar in July and August. So 60 of them were new teachers that have engaged in the Madison Teacher Induction. 19 of them are new to the profession, and 4 of them are alternatively certified. And we had 1 new on-site mentor from our relationship with the K-12 Center, and as I said, 4 more that are in that application process. We should hear at the end of this month the status of that, and we're very hopeful that in the coming year that we'll have the additional 4. So that's just kind of an overview. I just heard from Anita in HR today. She said currently it looks like we're just, oh, correct me if I'm wrong, but just under 50 maybe for the coming year. Yeah, so we're preparing for the coming year as well right now. So what is and what do we do in instructional coaching? Well, we've really looked to a research-based model, and this is as a result of really Ashley and Nikki, because they were the returning coaches along with Jane, and they really wanted to move towards the student-centered coaching, which is a research-based model. And Ashley's going to give a more in-depth description of what happens in student-centered coaching. But it's really about implementing coaching in a really research-based cycle and staying in short cycles with our teachers to really drive to get strong results for our students. We've really been also implementing our cognitive coaching through the K-12 Center and really using these 2 practices in research-based tandem together. So everybody on the coaching team now has had cognitive coaching, and if we bring anybody on, they need to have training both in student-centered coaching and in cognitive coaching so that norms our practices as we work together in a group. No doubt, every bit of the work that we're doing is about self-directing our teachers so that they're reflecting in their practice, and we're seeing improvement in academic achievement. That's our whole work. That's the purpose of our work. So looking at our coaching model, we've really been here in this student-centered coaching, and Nikki and Ashley went to Denver this summer, and they say this is where the transformation started. Are you up? You ready? Okay.
Okay. Hi. For student-centered coaching, we came out of COVID. We hadn't been in classrooms as much as we had been prior. We also had more new teachers than normal, so we thought about how can we really widen our impact, because we really see our role in operationalizing the strategic plan as training and retaining effective teachers. And we take that very seriously, so we're always like, how can we retain more teachers? You know, teaching sometimes can feel like an isolating profession. You're in your room with your kids all day. You meet up with your teachers at lunch. You talk after school. But the student-centered coaching model puts a coach in your room working alongside of you in those first 3 years when you're new to the profession, new to the district, when you're very vulnerable and you're trying to think about, am I going to come back? So this kind of puts a mentor and a coach in the classroom with you. We do pre-assessment over a standard. We look where our students are. We do co-planning, co-teaching, and then a really important co-conferring at the end. And the great thing about the student-centered model is that it's all centered on student work. So the teacher doesn't feel like we're looking at teacher actions and how they're teaching. We're making growth goals, we're making learning targets, success criteria, and we're working with the teacher then after the lessons to analyze that and then to determine next steps. And that's where we can combine cognitive coaching to ask them guiding questions to help them deepen their own pedagogy. And this is just another graphic that represents the 7 core practices for student-centered coaching. And again, it's all cyclical. And we've ensured that all teachers that are in their first or second years in the profession have at least 2 full coaching cycles this year as our first year in the rollout. But with the additional coaches, hopefully, we can even have longer coaching cycles and more coaching cycles for everybody. Another thing that our coaching team was challenged with was, how do we measure the results of coaching? This work can often feel invisible. How do we know that we're impacting people? So we've been using the results-based coaching tool. It's 2 pages. You would see on the second page the pre-assessment of where students are on their levels of mastery prior to the cycle. And you would pick a standard and go through this planning of a unit, which is about 2 to 3 weeks long, with the teacher. And then at the end, on the second page, you would see the results after. You also record all of your coaching conversations so that you have both qualitative and quantitative data to measure coaching. We collect all of those. And cognitive coaching is the practice of getting teachers to think about their own teaching practices. So we're not evaluative, we're not leaving them feedback on how they're teaching. We've really been trained to ask them those probing questions and those guiding questions and getting them to think and come to conclusions for themselves. Because they carry a lot of experience and they are professionals, we want to treat them like that and honor them.
So great news, thank you. Great news, 90% of our teachers have finished and attended teacher induction, and we'd like to say 100%, but we've had some unusual circumstances where teachers have been out because of illness, or we've had some unexpected resignations, but it's been very limited. And not only have they attended the induction, but they've attended it in person. And when Ashley was called to go to Park, I brought the team together and I said, do you want to move this to virtual? Because they have curriculum responsibility, they have other responsibilities. If they're content, they have other pieces that they do as part of their job. And they unequivocally said, no. We will keep this in person. We want to finish this to the end. We would love this number to be 100, but we're at 90. We're keeping the 90, and we're keeping the data moving. We have no doubt, and as I share the next pieces of information, the feedback that we received, and Ashley we could have stayed here again for 45, and we know people want to go home, but the feedback that we receive from the coaches at the end of every session, and we also have a Google Classroom, that we use inside where we can collect the data to see the impact of the collaboration. They're together predominantly by content, by grade level, the critical nature of being together in these cycles and the difference that it's making. So we know that the in-person is critical. We know putting them together by content is critical, and then having content-specific people there to help and to do the coaching cycle in the reflective, non-evaluative dialogue is critical to move forward. And I'm really proud of the team that they advocated to stay in person, and they've got their cycle. They're together, and we will close out this year with the induction, and we'll stay at 90. Well, 90 for sure. So we just want to share some quotes from site leadership and from our teachers in closing up for impact. And I know you can read these, but I just want to read just a little bit where the opening quote from one of our teachers, and these were anonymous, except the bottom two. The teacher writes, as a teacher, getting advice and ideas from an instructional coach and the team has been amazing. I feel like I have real support. They've got resources that they've used in their classes, and they talk about the coaching cycle. And then you can see the comments from Mrs. Devine, the second from the bottom. MTI provides immediate cohort and colleagues for educators who are new to Madison. And you can read further. And we just want to thank you for this opportunity to provide an update. And now we'd like to just stand for any questions.
Ms. Kazi.
Thank you so much. This is fabulous. I think for all of us, I mean, we know how blessed we are with the instructional coaches and the number we have in Madison, but I've always I think we could hear from the instructional coaches every week and we'd be happy that we meet. I mean, there's just so much good information. So I understand that this is student-led, and so therefore you're not specifically identifying the gaps that they have. They're identifying the needs they have. But I'm curious, for those new teachers that are new to the profession, if there are gaps that are that you're seeing a lot of, that they're self-identifying or that you're noticing, that as they come out of school are consistently there.
I think one thing we support a lot with is classroom management, especially in this day and age. I notice as technology and phones are more of a thing. I've noticed that classroom management is something that we work on. And I just want to add, although we do these student-centered coaching cycles, we also, a principal or a teacher can reach out to us for more teacher-centered feedback, where we can come in, and people sometimes say, I want you to come to my 8th period and help me with this classroom. So we can also come in and provide kind of that direct feedback as well. But I would say it's differentiation and classroom management.
And I would add, from listening to the coaches process, because we every other Wednesday get together, so I'm listening as they're all processing together. Maybe one more thing that comes up is just really having the opportunity to put together just really good linear it just takes time to learn to make really linear lesson plans. And in their PLC, and we're still coming out of COVID. So that's, first things first, a safe and healthy classroom, that's always first things first. But then once that starts to get mastered, really like linear, great lesson plans that you would take to your your professional learning community, like that comes up a bit in our group too. Yeah.
Ms. Gresham.
Just a quick comment. Thank you both for being here. This is all great. The student focus, the new teacher support is huge, behavioral support. So thank you to all our coaches. I hopefully this shows everyone like how much goes into educating our students, and to hear that we might get even more next year is really great. So thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Spear.
Thank you so much to all of the coaches that are here, and also the coaches that are not able to be here for whatever reason. One of the things that I know that I recently talked with Dr. Guerin about is frustrations that I hear from teachers, not just in Madison, but I happen to have a number of teachers that I'm friends with outside of Madison. And some of the things that our teachers have to negotiate over the course of a day is really, really hard. I mean, teaching is extremely hard right now. And obviously teacher retention is part of our strategic plan, because it is so critical for us to maintain and retain of our teachers and also attract new ones. So I just want to say thank you and express my gratitude to all of you for doing what you do every day, because you're able to actually address some of the things that I hear from new teachers and even from seasoned teachers like my good friends in other districts. The frustrations that they have is that they don't have the kind of support. And so I'm really grateful that all of you are here and doing the hard work that you do. So that's just what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ms. Kazi.
So I don't know how to frame this, but so differentiation is hard, and it's something that we've obviously is embedded and baked into our strategic plan. And for teachers that were online and are coming back into the classroom, many have said that, I'm learning to reteach, and differentiation is just another thing on top of it all. So I guess my question is, how long does it really take as far as training for a brand new teacher to really help them develop those differentiations? Because like we have large class sizes. I mean, there's a lot of other, we have so much that we have to teach the kids to be ready for the state tests by the end of the year. We know it's more than we're ever gonna have enough time for, because God forbid the teacher gets sick, or, there's some other issue that comes up, we have a field trip. So I would just love to know, really at the end of the day, how long does it really take to develop those kinds of skills? Because they are challenging.
I'm thinking of Carol Ann Tomlinson. I'm thinking of her text. I think it's different it really varies by, I don't know if research, I'm just playing the differentiation research back through my mind, and feel free to comment too. And I also feel like Laura could really speak to this, because Laura and Lindsay have done just beautiful work with differentiation this year. But for all the years I've trained on differentiation, and I have not done it in practice, Laura's done it in practice this year post-COVID, it's really varied by the person and which prong of differentiation you're working. So I'd love to hear others. It's really, really varied, because I've never found a one-size-fits-all answer. Like, I can say for sure it's going to happen at 2.7 years, 2.893, or whatever.
I mean, just as a teacher myself, which, I started a while ago, I won't say how long, but it took me a couple years just to get used to those tier 1 practices in the classroom, to feel comfortable with those and to really know my content deeply. Then I could start differentiating. So we train our teachers in differentiating content, process, and product. Some of those are easier to start with. So in our trainings, we might suggest you can vary the product. You can give student choice. You can have a couple different options for a product. Once you start feeling comfortable with that, let's add some content differentiation. Maybe you can flip the learning for some students and then have a small group with you and then switch them out. So we kind of give them little pieces along the way and let them try those out. And then we also have some schools that have been working with us as a whole school on differentiation for their staff. And we've been providing some professional development on that. So I'd say it's starting small and giving them one of those little chunks and doing a coaching cycle, being willing to model it yourself, being willing to go in and try it and put yourself out there, and they pick up things along the way. And then also a big thing is noticing and naming. And that's why we do walkthroughs after each cycle, not evaluative, but just noticing and naming all the great things they're doing for students. And sometimes they say, I didn't even realize I was differentiating, because when you're up there, sometimes you're focused on that one thing, but we can come in and leave you a note. Here's all the things that you're doing to support student learning. And people have told us they really appreciate getting that feedback.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I would reiterate or repeat what Ashley said in terms of the differences of differentiation. At my school, we've started down this road and really dove into it in professional development and taken those specific content, process, product, and given really specific things to try. It's somewhat of a moving target. Because each year you have new students with new needs, and it's just developing skills and to take out and to apply to another situation, because no situation's the same. So it's just constantly getting these new kinds of strategies and trying them. And one of the things that's been somewhat successful with us is modeling some of that. So when we give professional development, differentiating that and giving them an actual model and say, look, this is what it looks like. This is when we did this was a type of differentiation. So it's hard, and it takes a long time to get a lot of those tools, but it just does a slow buildup, I think. You just keep working at it.
I have just a couple things. One, we have the instructional coaches and mentor. Is the mentors that we're looking at, they're coming in, are the roles different, or is that just a different title because of where they're coming from?
Oh, President Holcomb, members of the board, thank you so much for the opportunity to respond to that, because there is a difference and there are requirements inside of the grant, so there really are some variations. So for instance, I'm going to just compare if you are a content specific mentor, for instance, I'll pick one we don't have, the hypothetical one. If we had like an electives person who oversaw our multiple electives, that person would oversee coaching for electives and also all of our content, our pacing guides, any supplemental resource needs that we might have, any textbook adoption responsibilities that go with that. And that's, so the job description's different. But if you're on site and you work at one of these positions, you work specifically and only for coaching because that's a requirement of the grant. And also because you work on site, it's very specific inside of the grant as well that you work and do the responsibilities. You train with the K-12 center. We engage inside of many of the parameters within the K-12 grant. We use a data system that the K-12 center has called Keano. That's really another awesome way to collect data through the process of coaching. And you can't engage in any of responsibilities that aren't new teachers. So for instance, if Ashley was the principal of the school and I was the coach at that school, she couldn't assign me to go and observe, be on her observation cycle, because my role is to be there and to be the coach for the new teachers. And so Ashley and her assistant principal would do the walkthroughs and the observing with the continuing teachers. Does that kind of help?
It does. It does. And it just real quick, and I don't want to go in a lot of detail, but just want to get a concept of it. If we are lucky enough to get the 4 additional mentors, how are you looking to deploy them?
Yeah, we'll work through that if we're blessed. We'll work through it. The 4 sites were specific for the requirements of the grant. So we'll work through those pieces with the K-12 center and with HR and through our executive team, and we'll deploy them. And it is limited with the grant. Really, you really have to follow the specifications, and we'll deploy it. Through the appropriate staff.
Okay, thank you. One of the things you mentioned too that I've really become sensitive to. Before I got on the board, I really didn't have a concept of it, and that is how potentially isolating being a teacher can be, because you're in there with that whole pirate ship of kids, and you're the only potential victim or prisoner for that group, or you don't see other adults for a long period of time, and I'd like to look at just. That's something I think is very important. As much as possible, we break down that sense of isolation, and hopefully you're focusing on that as much as anything. That's part of the social emotional, I think, for the teachers.
Yes, thank you. We definitely do talk about I think that's been a real strength of moving towards a student-centered coaching cycle, is there's just so many more times that we're together with the teacher, and then putting together more cycles of communication than we had before. That was a huge piece of why, when we initially talked about why you wanted to move, you felt that this research-based model helped just connect people. Also, that across the district that we're teaching common content, because they might not find each other, especially in our junior highs. That was another reason why we felt we needed to move towards this model. But thank you for raising that. Yes.
Okay, and then I apologize. This is important to me. What Ms. Kaze said, that how important the instructional coach model and you guys are, that we all understand how important that is. That hasn't always been the case. I have been at this dais where I've had to fight for the idea that we need to establish instructional coaches and then maintain instructional coaches. And that's one of the things that's great about the board, is it's consistent now. Understand the real, importance of it. And you should feel that you are very, very supported, not only by the district office, but by the board. We get it on that, how important it is. One of the things I would like is, we take a lot of pride in what is a Madison teacher and the things that we do at Madison, and we bring in a lot of teachers from other school districts. And if you could address a little bit about what is it we do in your coaching that is sort of, okay, this is the Madison way, or helping people unlearn some things they may have learned elsewhere.
Yeah, so we have, in addition to just our cycles, we have cohorts. The teachers are each placed in a cohort of about 4 to 5 other teachers from across the district, and they have quarterly cohort meetings where the coaches, we all work together to lead professional development centered on the Madison instructional expectations. So we start, our first one is all on the learning environment. Then we go into implementation of instruction, and then we go into lesson, I'm trying to remember all the parts of it, lesson design. So we broke it into 4, we took the whole, not to make it evaluative, but we took all of the instructional expectations and broke them into 4 sessions where through those sessions, we do all the things that we do in Madison, Kagan cooperative learning training, differentiation, all the ways that we teach in Madison. We do that through the trainings with the teachers. And we love for you guys to come watch one of those too, because those take place, we have about 8 different days in which those take place each quarter.
And I just want to brag so much about the work that this team has done. Not only did they do this year in person, but they built a Google Classroom to enhance the quality, to keep the cohort so that they can communicate outside of when they're there. They didn't have that before. Like, they designed this coming out just as another way to connect, differentiate, offer a model. And I just want to say, like, that was an above and beyond. They didn't have to do it. They just kept thinking of more additional ways to support people when they couldn't see them. So just because I got this opportunity to be here tonight, I just wanted to say I really do have the A team.
Good. Ms. Humphreys, can you go back to the very first slide? And I promise this is my last thing. I think it's or the team picture. I highly recommend that Dr. Renaud get a different beard. Otherwise, there's a lot of people who are going to have to go in therapy, because that's the scariest Santa. I'm just thinking he's holding an axe down there. But in any event, thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that now brings us to the discussion regarding future meetings. Dr. Guerin.
President Holcomb, members of the board, next week is spring break, if you hadn't heard. And we're back March 28th, and if you thought we were busy before, we're about to get busier. So on March 28th, we will have an executive session. We're hoping to be able to start at 5 p.m. and we'll receive information regarding interest-based negotiations and budget advisory. We'll step out for the school showcase at 5:45, which is Meadows. And then we will begin our regular board meeting at 6 o'clock. We will have the foster care policy second read. We will have our annual Madison Highland Prep School report. And then Ms. Garvey and Dr. Lomeli will co-present interest-based negotiations and budget advisory committee recommendations for everyone. Moving along in April, we have a hold on an executive session in case we need it. And this is when I will present my budget recommendations based on budget advisory and interest-based negotiations. You will also start to see other contracts come through. There they are, under action items. So it's just a lot going on. We have our ASBA Association political agenda, ever popular item, and then all of a sudden it's going to be May. So you will continue to see more added to these agendas, but as we work through the budgeting process and staffing process, that will take up quite a bit of our time in our board meetings.
Are there any additions, questions, anything that members of the board would like to see on the agenda? I did want to ask about, we'll many times have a legislative update report, either from the Madison Advocates or maybe we could get Dr. Osborne to come back for a command performance. Huh? Yes, have him come back and talk. What do you think? Okay.
President Holcomb, I think you're in charge of inviting him and getting him here.
That ain't gonna work. I'll try. So we have to call Karen, just.
Absolutely.
I volunteer to reach out to Dr. Osborne.
Yeah, I think, we've had, when Chris Thomas was here and when and Marcus is here, is just, you get so much better of a feel for what's really going on.
What meeting are we hoping for that legislative update?
We're looking April 25th?
25th?
I mean, that may be, my thought is that would be a good companion to the Arizona School Boards Association political agenda, because one of the things they could take is just, Marcus has got a good feel for what may or may not happen, and so that he could help it inform what we're doing. Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
I'll go ahead and invite him.
Okay. All right, and then, the only last thing I think we have to have is, I would love the public to be able to tell me what I can do for an 80s with my beard, because apparently beards were illegal in the 80s, so I'm still trying to find out what I can use for this. So if anybody's got any ideas. In any event, with that, I think we're ready to adjourn the meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I will second.
Moved by Ms. Kazi, seconded by Ms. Spear. Please vote.
Mr. President, may I explain my vote? I just want to say thank you to the scouts for being here, Troop 127, so thank you for staying the whole meeting.
What is it, citizenship and community? No, but you're here for which badge? That's what I thought.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Oh.
Please vote. Are we able to vote?
This group of scouts has to do a new merit badge during their Eagle Scout too.
Oh, yeah?
Citizenship in society, right? Yes.
It was just citizenship when I did that. Yeah. That passes unanimously. We are adjourned.
Everywhere I touch this